Geek Insider presents Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Lachlan. We cover entertainment, news, and tech with special guest appearances. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now.
Hello, everybody. Our special guest is known for his portrayal of Lieutenant Commander Groves in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. He's a voice actor with credits in Phineas and Ferb, Ben 10, Annoying Orange, which is one of my favorites, and Cars 2 as Sir Nigel Gearsley. He's got acting credits in television, which include Lucifer, Dexter, CSI, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Plus, he's got over 150 video games and a web show called The Respondent. Please welcome Greg Ellis.
Hi, Meredith. Hi, Matthew. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm still geeking out on that music.
It's funky stuff, right?
Right?
It gets me God.
Digging it.
I always tell her it makes me think of like Austin Powers or something. You know, you get into the groove and I want to see some poodle skirts. No.
I hear you. The throwback.
Now, we don't have you for a long time because you are on a very strict, crazy circuit because you've got something happening tomorrow. And I want you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so my name is Greg Ellis. I am an actor, predominantly artist, sometime writer, author, director. And there's two events tomorrow I want to tell you about. And I'll probably give you a little bit of the genesis story behind both events and how they happened. It's been brought together in the last week. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's what I was saying. Certainly.
Yeah.
All about it.
So I'd say it was about a month ago. I'm a bit of an old fogey, and using Twitter and the 140 characters, I can get in trouble even when I think I'm trying to do good. You know, a couple of months ago, I think I wrote something like, every life is important. Every life has value. Every life matters. Every life matters. All lives matter. And then the next thing I was racist. I'm like, what? What did I do? What happened? How did I? So then a couple of weeks later, I wrote, it was Ayaan Hirsi Ali. So for those who don't know who Ayaan Hirsi Ali is, and this is away from the entertainment, zany kind of video game animation artist, performance artist world for a minute. Ayaan Hirsi Ali she escaped an oppressive Islamic state, having had forced genital mutilation, found her way to Holland, became a janitor, then a member of the Dutch parliament. Her story is so inspirational and aspirational and advocational, and her philanthropy is amazing. So giving back to women in a similar position she had fought herself out of, she formed the AHA Foundation. So she tweeted, that's a little backstory about Ayaan. She tweeted support of J.K. Rowling. Now, J.K. Rowling, I'd seen, was posting illustrations of young children who were doing illustrations from her book. I think it's Ichabod. And she was calling out their names and their ages and posting these wonderful, beautiful drawings and illustrations. So Ayaan supported J.K., and I tweeted support of that. And then Clancy Brown, who your viewers may know as the voice of, amongst other things, Hank Anderson from Detroit, Become Human, and Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants, and Captain Hadley from The Shawshank Redemption, and Billionaires, and so on and so forth. Too many credits to mention. He retweeted support of me, and the next thing you know, we're kind of in this mobbing storm and being tweeted out of existence, literally being unpersoned and uncancelled in cancel culture. So we, having been targeted and trolled, which is a word that I didn't grow up with, but I'm learning about, by a few outraged video gamers, even a small minority of our own fan bases, a couple of disgruntled fans even started petitions to present to BioWare and EA Games, the makers of Dragon Age, demanding I never be employed on their games again. Wow. I'm the voice of Cullen on Dragon Age. And I was just so surprised, and so was Clancy. So what we decided to do was we would plan an event, and we would call it the Gamers Gateway. And it's called the Respondent Gamers Gateway because my other video podcast show that launched on June 21st with Stephen Fry as my first guest is a multimedia conversation on positive masculinity. I suppose it's a bi-weekly whodunit in which I, as both lead detective and key perpetrator, work to track down the co-conspirators of men's demise and the secrets to our reclamation. It's an exploration, I guess, into of how becoming a modern man today demands we reimagine masculinity, rethink fatherhood, and revitalize our image of family. I think in this era of cancel culture and smash the patriarchy where all men are bad, we should champion and empower our younger generations of boys. Because we've all been, us men have all been boys and become men, and all boys will become men. And these messages of all men bad and let's smash them, we shouldn't respond with smash the matriarchy and toxic femininity. I think we have to move from hateful to grateful. And particularly in this time of the wrong societal messages of social distancing, we should be encouraging physical distancing and social connectedness, particularly during a time of pandemic. And that's what I love about this show and being on, is that we can be socially connected. We're all human beings. Right. We're all in this together. And we're part of the bigger collective. So that event, the Respondent Gamers Gateway, starts at 12 o'clock. And it's the kind of precursor to the main event, which is the Voices in My Head Animation Jamboree fundraiser.
I'm just going to pop this up real quick so people can see.
Thank you.
There you go.
And this event is inspired by my podcast series, The Voices in My Head, which is a long-form conversation with some of your favorite artists, showrunners, directors from the cartoon, animation, and video game world. And the event is really purposed as a virtual Comic-Con, if you will, an opportunity to bring together some of the most iconic talent in voiceover and the titans of video gaming. And, like the Rob Paulsons and the Tom Kennys and the Kevin Michael Richardsons and D. Bradley Bakers. And the Respondent Gamers Gateway event is free for everyone to attend, 12 o'clock Pacific time. And Clancy and I will be hosting it with Professor Phil Campbell. And we hope that people come and join in and post comments and questions, and we can all have a more civil discourse and talk about that intersection as well between the real world and the virtual world. I grew up playing Defender and Asteroid and Miss Dark Man and track and field. My fingers still have the, from doing the track and field, and then and then Atari and all of the. In fact, when I was 13, I held the world record for Pac-Man. So it was stand-up video game.
Really?
I did, yeah. There was one game I thought I'm going to master this, and there was a gaming magazine, and the Japanese player had the world record, and I spent about 3.5 hours or something playing a master game of Pac-Man. I'd learned all these patterns. So I love video games. I profess I don't know much about the video games of today because I'm too busy voicing them rather than playing them. My sons, I have 2 boys, they play and they beat me. I'm like, how did you beat me so easily? What's going on? Dad. I'm like, but there used to just be a joystick, and now there's a joystick and 2 joysticks and 3 keypads and 12 buttons and double taps and triple taps. You know?
And the 3D thing gets me all wonky. I can't do it. Like, give me Atari. I'm good.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, I talk about Atari and the slipping in of the cartridges and playing a little Frogger and the simplicity of that. So being able to talk about all of that and come together with a gang of people and bringing it full circle, both events, all of the proceeds from the second event, the Voices in My Head Animation Jamboree, which is $5 a ticket, will go to Ayan Hirshali's the AHA Foundation.
Yep.
So
we've got a link for our viewers and anybody who watches on the replay so that they can go right to the event and they sign in. The $5 donation. Again, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, because that was something that was in my notes. I love guests who just go through my questions without me asking.
Yeah, the information on the event can all be found at realgregellis.com. and the links, and you can donate there, or you can donate through just buying a ticket at the event. The Voices in My Head is an ongoing podcast series. We've done 13 audio recordings and then 3 other video and podcast episodes. And, we had Andrea Romano. She talked with me for about 3 hours, 45 minutes. And I love this. Left, right, up, down, BABA, cheat code, then left, then right, then up, down, and then double tap, do a somersault, go and get your groceries in from the Amazon because they've been delivered, and then carry on with it. What? How did we get to? And I died again. I've got to start from the top level. Where was I? Oh, yes. I was talking about the event tomorrow. You can get all the information there and listen and watch and support. And, I'm hoping to do more of these events. I'm hoping to bring more people in. I've had people like Steve Bloom is joining us tomorrow. He's a Guinness World Record holder. I did Shadows of the Damned video game with him, and then we reunited after 10 years to do the follow-up to that. And he's on an episode of Voices in My Head of Jennifer Hale, who's like, the female Meryl Streep of the voiceover world. And we're going to do a ton more of those and move towards the video arena, and just start connecting more with the fans, because the fans is where it's at. The players, we're going to connect the players with the video game makers and have some people who you've never seen before, who've never been at conventions, who are deeply embedded within, the founders and the people who run these huge video game companies. I've been talking with 2K Games, a whole host of other people over at Disney, to just see if we can grow the Voices in My Head animation events into something that during this time of social disconnection, we can become more socially connected whilst remaining physically distant.
That's just way too cool, Greg, because as we said right before we went on the air, is that Meredith and I put together a couple of quick events this summer for kind of along the same lines. Is, everything was shut down. Everyone was social distancing. There was no new entertainment. And we wanted to help the indie artists out there. We had indie filmmakers, indie comic book creators, indie podcasters, indie radios. I mean, the list was actors, actresses. And it wasn't so much about having them on and interview them. It was about getting those connections, getting them to be able to network and spread their connections. And it worked out really, really well. We've seen some great collaborations on the way just because of those kind of those shows. And then there's been other shows as well. And, we have seen this summer, we've seen quite a few virtual conventions, Comic Cons come and go, and some do really, really well, and some not so much. I just wanted to give you guys, because you mentioned that y'all are planning on growing this and doing more, is when we first heard about this. I know you're putting it together quick, but we couldn't hardly find anything online about it, and so I understand that's of course why you are here, is to help get that word out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's some, I won't say it on the air, but there is a specific .com that you could snag. It's for like $12 a year, just that would brand. I just went and looked it up right before the show because I didn't know about the realgregellis.com though at that point. But no, I really love what you're doing. Tell everybody real quick a little bit more about who all's going to be there tomorrow. Are they going to be able to submit questions? How are things going to work tomorrow?
Yeah, good question. Good ask. So who's going to be there? Right. Let me see if I can get this straight. We have people like Andrea Romano, who is the 8-time Emmy Award-winning voice and casting director of some amazing shows I used to grow up watching as a kid, cartoon shows and animation shows. She joins a luminous list of casting directors, showrunners, and writers, and a star-studded cast of actors behind some of, the most iconic cartoon character voices: SpongeBob SquarePants, Spider-Man, Batman, Pinky with no brain, Johnny Bravo. We got special guests include, not just the icons of animation, the titans of video game, legends of casting directing, and Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, Rob Paulson, the voice of Pinky from Pinky and the Brain, Jeff Bennett, the voice of Johnny Bravo, Emmy-nominated casting director Colette Sunderman, Scooby-Doo, Spider-Man, Dexter's Laboratory, so on and so forth, Kevin Michael Richardson, Family Guy, American Dad, The Simpsons, D. Bradley Baker, monster creature, non-human creature specialist. If you get the chance, listen to his episode of The Voices in My Head. It's a masterclass on how he's a vocal virtuoso with his vocal cords and a wonderful guy. He's the voice of Klaus in American Dad, and he's done tons of Star Wars series. Diedrich Bader, who was the voice of Batman on the Batman and the Brave and the Bold series that I did with him, and I did, Mr. Mind in that, and Dr. Fate and Gentleman Ghost and Craddock and Cavalier, and Jessica DeChico from Over the Hedge, Dave DeLuise from Heavy Gear, and you probably know him from Wizards of Waverly Place. Eric Rogers, showrunner of Skylanders Academy and Futurama. There's just so many amazing people that are joining. So I'm super excited. I think that was your first question. Who's going to be there? Was there a second part to it?
Yeah, just our visitors, we know that it's $5 donation to get in. That's going to go to a good charity. But when they're in, are they going to be able to submit questions to the guests?
Yeah, there'll be. So what there is there's a questions tab and a comments tab. So there'll be, people can submit questions, and Clancy and I and everyone else who's going to be joining the event, time permitting, will be looking to the questions and finding answers for people. And then there's a comments tab, so we'll be able to see the comments that are coming in. And it's on a new platform called ThinkSpot, which is a non-censorious platform. And that's being built, and it's still in beta phase. So we're also going to live stream simulcast to YouTube and Twitter and all the usual, Facebook and those kinds of places. And I'm just amazed at how the technology comes together and how we're all able to do this. And if anyone out there knows a little about this technology, drop me a line and let me know, because I only found out about Twitch. I'm like, what's this Twitch thing? I have a Twitch occasionally when I get something in my eye, but this whole game is, and one of my team sent me the website. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
You don't know Twitch?
I know, I'm so ignorant about those kinds of things, but I'm learning. I think we're always learning. I talk about failing all the time, FAIL, first attempt in learning. So I'm doing my best. And, I have to talk about the Respondent. The Respondent is kind of my real passion project, and that airs bi-weekly. The next episode of that I have on Brett Weinstein, who has the Dark Horse podcast and videocast series, and that's on August 16th at 1 p.m. And after each episode, I do a live stream simulcast Q&A with a special guest. And I've just confirmed Heather McDonald, who is a New York Times bestselling author and has way too many credits for me to mention. She's a great intellectual mind of our time. And I'm very excited to talk with her and have Brett talk about his articles of unity, what he's doing to change and tend to and mend the personality of America and what we're all going through, and find better pathways forward while we try and unblock the apology pathway of cancel culture.
Mm-hmm. I just love that you are advocating for men. I have 3 boys. They're all grown. And it's, when they were younger, that this was never an issue, and now that they're young men, and they're kind of making their way in the world, and I'm very proud of them. And I don't want them to be apologetic for their masculinity.
That's right. And they shouldn't.
Because they're not jerks. They are good people. And I think essentially that's what we need to focus on, is just being a good person.
Right. And the reality is, I talked with Stephen Fry on the first episode of my show, The Respondent. You can call yourself what you want, and I can call myself what I want. We can use identities and labels and language that's, however we want to use it. At the end of the day, it's how we treat each other that matters. And we all have the propensity to be a little bit of a frustrating, I'm not going to say the word live, but
you can say,
to be a pain. I would say pain in the arse, and you might say ass or pain in the ass.
You do that pretty good.
We've all, thank you, buddy. We all do. There is good. I think in humans, there is good and evil present in all of us, and it's just a sliding scale. And the less extreme we can be, and the more forgiving we can be, and the more we can include everyone in the conversation, inclusivity of no matter what the pigmentation of your skin, your ethnicity, your religion, your spirituality. I mean, last Sunday, this past Sunday as a Q&A guest on the Respondent, I had invited high-ranking members of Antifa and the Proud Boys. You can't get more extreme than that to have a conversation.
Right.
And people thought I was crazy, and why would you? And because you have to live the mission and the purpose, and try as best you can to use the platform for the greater good, whatever you consider that to be, and further extend your presence, And
if you can open up a dialogue and get people to talk, not at each other, but with each other, that communication thing is so important. And, Greg, I think that we could probably talk to you for hours and hours, and I'm going to be the responsible one and probably boot you out of here because Christian Basil is in here, and every once in a while in my name, I call myself, I'm a jerk. But I'm trying to be responsible, and I want to send you off to your next show because I know you are on a really tough circuit because you want to promote this thing. It is the Respondent Gamers Gateway, which is followed by the Voices in My Head Animation Jamboree. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific. I want to make sure that we get that clear for our East Coast people. That is 4 p.m. Eastern time. And the proceeds of the event for the Voices in My Head are going to the Ion Hershiali Foundation. I'm going to drop in the links, and we are going to have a complimenting article that's going to have all the links as well. So that everybody can tune in and show some support and really tune in to a lot of fun people and maybe the voices that you recognize, but the people that you just didn't know were behind them.
Yeah, it's really kind of you, really sweet of you. Thank you, Meredith, and thank you, Matthew, too. And keep up the great work. And I'll be looking out for more of your show. And I'm happy to come back, time permitting, for you and schedule permitting, and we can talk some more because I love chatting, and chatting with you is so effortless and easy. And hello, and thank you to all the people in the geekinsider.com world that I'm now connected with.
Our most active chatters here, Sarah. We love you. And Christian Basil, he is actually the host of the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show. So he's one.
Doctor Who.
If you love Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. Listen, I'll just very quickly. I'll go back to. I mean, look. Do I love Doctor Who? Tom Baker. I mean, I grew up watching Doctor Who. It was the staple in every British household. I think it was 5:30, 6:30 on a Saturday, which is the biggest viewing night for families in England to come together. So wow, we will exterminate. I mean, just all of that. I mean, just the big Tom Baker with this big scarf and John Pertwee and Sylvester McCoy and so on and so forth. All of I haven't watched it for years. I think Alex, my friend Alex, has been involved in it. I think she's been something to do with Doctor Who. She was on ER for a while, and now she's, who knows? I don't know. And then John Barrowman.
You have to check it out on Facebook. It's the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show.
Right.
Greg,
it's a great show.
You're gonna
wait.
run
He cannot get out of here.
When I get the word, I'm going to have to go. Because
but real quick, Greg, we ask everybody, if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
If I could go back in time and ask myself one piece of advice, what would it be?
And give yourself one piece of advice.
Give myself one piece of advice. I would probably tell my younger self a quote that I wrote in my philosophical pocket oracle of quote book called No Thing in Between. That was published last year. And it's a Confucius quote that I wrote called, I am not who you think I am. You are who you think I am. I am not who you think I am. You are who you think I am. So there's a little Confucius, little Jungian psychology in there, is to remember that all that we project onto the other, capital O, really starts and ends with self, capital S. And the more that we can involute inside and go inward and accept responsibility for who we are, how we are, and how we have moved through our lives and where we are in this now moment, the more we can tend to the greater good of the others, capital O. So it would be that. I would remind myself of that.
Oh, wow.
Man, and that's one of the best answers we've gotten so far. That was great. Appreciate it,
And
Greg.
I'd also slip in, one of my favorite quotes that I came up with recently is meaning. When I talk about meaning, we're all meaning seekers. Everything happens for a reason. We make up afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad piece of advice either. Everybody, tomorrow, 12 o'clock Pacific.
1
Yeah,
p.m.
well, 12 starts the
Respondent. Yes.
Yep. And then at 1 o'clock, you can catch the Voices in My Head Animation Jamboree. Check out therealgregellis.com. Greg, thanks so much. And good luck with everything. We're probably going to have to check in tomorrow ourselves. So we'll see how things
I hope
go.
so. And I'll give you a shout while we're there. So thank you, Meredith.
And we hope to get you back when you're not on such a strict time schedule.
I'd be happy to come back and we can talk a lot longer about a whole host of other things. Thank you for having me, Matthew. Thank you for having me, Meredith. It's been an absolute delight.
Same here. Thanks, bud.
You do well, okay?
You too.
You
Thanks.
too, bud. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, well, that was fun. We are going to end with our outro. And again, it was such a pleasure. It was such a short amount of time that we were able to spend with Greg. We hope to get him back, and we appreciate everybody who is tuning in to listen live. We're going to have this on the replay on iHeartRadio and a couple of your other favorite apps that you listen to. Matthew, you got anything else to say?
I think that is it. It is Friday. We don't have any more interviews this week, but we do have one lined up for next week. You want to give a little insight on that one?
Well, it's for Wild One Forever, and we've got Kimberly Eastone. She is the CEO of Posh Glam, so that is going to be really cool.
I forgot that was the other channel.
Yeah, the other one. It is. We're going to be talking about diversity and basically empowerment, women empowerment. And I'm just really excited to have that. That is going to be Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. But as for tomorrow, you guys tune in to Greg Ellis's show, The Respondent, and then afterwards, which is going to be the Voices in My Head Animation Jamboree. I mean, he's got the who's who of animation voiceover actors and things like that. So definitely tune in if you can. I will make sure that I share the link out to all of you on the social media. And on that note, I think we're just
out of here.
We're out. Bye.
Bye.
You've been tuning in to Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Loughran, a Geek Insider presentation. Subscribe to the Geek Insider podcast on your favorite listening app and sign up for the newsletter on our website. We also have advertising opportunities through the website, podcast, and newsletter. For details, contact advertising at geekinsider.com. This has been a Geek Insider production. Thank you for listening. Geek out.